Hey boys and girls, this is Miss Ramsey. Today is Tuesday and we are continuing our conversation about point of view. Our I can statement for today is I can make conclusions about point of view. Yesterday we started our story with 7 blind mice and we looked at the perspective of the blue mouse. And we discussed how his point of view was a lot different from the other mice in the story because he can't see and neither can they, and they're all experiencing this huge elephant in a different way. And we compared our point of view to what the blue mouse saw. We were really proud of your responses, and we think that you've got a pretty good grasp on point of view, so we're going to keep talking about it today. So I want to remind you about what a conclusion is. When you draw a conclusion, you use clues from the text and what you know to make an inference. I read, I know, I conclude. So I am going to ask you to fill out one of these graphic organizers for a grade today. And before I ask you to do that, I want to show you what it should look like. I want to give you an example because sometimes with these graphic organizers, we get 1 or 2 sentences and we know that you guys know so much more about point of view. And this is the last time you'll experience it as a 3rd grader. So we want to make sure you really understand before we send you off to 4th grade. How exciting. All right, so our independent task today is I read, I know, I conclude. So under my column that says I read, I wrote in the story 7 blind mice, I read that the blue mouse believed it was a rope. And then in the I know column, I explain what I know based on what I read. After reading, notice I said after reading, the page about Blue Mouse, I know the character's point of view is different from the other characters because he believes that the giant object is a rope. You could say giant object, you could say elephant, it's all up to you. We know you're not going to copy my example and post it to Seesaw, Class Dojo, or email because that would be cheating. So you can change some of these words. Now let's go on to conclude. Based on what you read and what you know, we can make an inference. I can conclude that the blue mouse was wrong. Why can I make that conclusion? Because what I read and what I know and even what I saw in the story is not a rope. Because from my point of view, I can see the giant object is an elephant. The characters are blind and they cannot see the whole elephant, and each mouse is only experiencing part of the animal. This would really let your teachers know that you really understand point of view, and it tells us that you're able to make inferences as well. So I'm going to give you a template that I want you to take a screenshot of. I read, I know, I conclude. I've given you some sentence starters and some blanks. Now, you can write on these lines. If you're using Seesaw, you could type your response. You don't have to necessarily submit it in this format. Just make sure that we get the 3 parts as you're submitting your assignment. So we want to know what you read. We want to know what you know because you might not talk about blue mouse. I hope you don't talk about blue mouse because that was in my example and that would be sort of unfair. So maybe talk about the purple mouse or the yellow mouse. So in the story, 7 blind mice, I read that the purple mouse, you fill the rest in. After reading the page about the purple mouse, I know the character's point of view is, I can conclude that the purple mouse was wrong because from my point of view, and then you'll explain to us what you know. All right, boys and girls, if you have any questions, as always, reach out to your teacher. We'll be happy to help you. And if you have any questions about the story or where to post this, also reach out to your teacher because they might want it in a different format. But we are excited to read your responses, and I will talk to you next week. All right, boys and girls, thanks so much.